So, you have a tent and a rig, and you love overlanding. You have plans to do it big, on the trails and some super glamping? Want ideas, tips, news, and reviews? A podcast that's first rate and here just for you? You don't have to think about it. Join us and be about it. Something interesting? We want to hear about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure, the industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by My Medic. Sponsored by Tembo Tusk. Sponsored by Trail Rated Coffee Company.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, my name is Phil from Waypoint Overland, and you're listening to Random Waypoints. All right, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Random Waypoints podcast. We'll be doing an episode every week, so like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode. This week, we take a look at the people who team up to make the new Ford F-150 Lightning. And on Random Lists, I give my top 8 canyons to explore in the U.S. for overlanders. Also, on Waypoints, we discuss gear and materialism in the overland gear world. So stay tuned for the whole show. But first, let's take a look at the news.
During this segment, we'll cover various topics with a connection to overlanding in some way. It could be land use news regarding the national parks or the Bureau of Land Management. We'll keep you up to date on any auto industry news when it pertains to relevant and potential overlanding vehicles. There will be camping and outdoor industry news, as well as photography and video, fishing, hiking, and on and on. Now, here's the news.
Automotive writers Jill and Kristin will drive a 2022 Santa Cruz Limited in the 7th annual Rebelle Rally, an all-women off-road navigational challenge held in the deserts of California and Nevada. It will be their first attempt at the Rebelle Rally and Hyundai's first time supporting the event. Let's take a look.
Hey, this is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and I am here with somebody very special who happens to be a great friend of mine, and we're gonna get to know each other a lot better sometime soon because we have a very special announcement to make, and that is the fact that we are going to compete in Rebelle Rally together. So this is Kristin Shaw, and she is a freelance writer. You can find her stuff everywhere, a general rock star, but she also is a staff writer for The Drive. And we are going to be spending, 10 days together?
Yes, unshowered, 10 days.
Unshowers, 10 days, dude wipes. But in this truck right here. And this is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Okay, so maybe not this exact truck, but this truck. And we're going to be in the Hyundai Santa Cruz, and we are going to be an all-wheel drive model with a 2.5-liter turbocharged engine. It's 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. And we are going to take this off-road. And I think you need to give a little bit more about what the Rebelle Rally is, because I've only read about it, but she has actually been covering it for the past couple of years. So, Rebelle Rally.
It is really special. It's an all-female off-road competition. 1,500 miles through the desert, through some canyons, in the dunes.
Without showers.
Without
Let's reiterate
showers
that part.
for many days. But what's really cool about this, and what the founder, Emily Miller, told me, it's not just about the competition itself, which is intense. Like, you can't use your GPS. It's all paper,
so
pencil.
We have to turn in our cell phones.
Yeah. No electronics, it's all paper, latitude and longitude, figuring out where you are, picking up points as you go. So we're going to be really digging deep into the math and figuring out where we are and how to get to where we need to go next. And the founder told me it's not just about the competition itself, but like what women learn about themselves, how they learn their own strength And we already talked about, how our personalities mesh. It's really important that you pick a partner who meshes well with you.
Yeah, so our objective is to compete. It's to do as well as we can and to not die, basically. I think that's the end of the story, right? No, we would like to win.
Nobody's died yet.
The most important thing is to have fun. And to enjoy each other's company and to do something that's really cool. And so this will be both of our first time competing, even though Kristin has covered it previously. And it's women only. So, but it's, just because it's women only doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Like she said,
No.
we are going to be pinpointing points on a map. And I will say that neither of us are navigators. So we're going to have
a lot to learn.
We have a lot to learn. And we're actually going to ask you to follow our journey as we go, because we're going to have to be taking classes, we're going to have to do some training, and I think it's going to be a really interesting story to follow, and I know I'm super excited about it.
I am so excited, and I'm really grateful to Hyundai for them putting their faith in us, their investment into us, letting us borrow a car, but also really encouraging and supporting us. This is Hyundai's first time supporting the Rebelle Rally, and I know they are as excited as we are to see what this thing can do. I think it's got all the specs that we need to do really well in the X-Cross class, which is crossovers.
Right.
So with this one, we'll have all-wheel drive, but it'll be almost bone stock. They're probably going to put some kind of skid plate underneath. But other than that, it's got 8.6 inches of ground clearance, which is 2 inches more than what the Kia Sorento PHEV had, and they placed second and third last year.
Yeah.
Why not us?
Why not us? All right, we are,
We're gonna do this.
So we are literally going to see you down the road in a desert. So stay tuned to watch our story.
Advancing the company's commitment to vehicle electrification, Toyota will invest $383 million in 4 of its U.S. manufacturing plants that build the heart of new Toyota and Lexus vehicles. The new investment supports the production of 4-cylinder engines, including options for hybrid electrical vehicles at its Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, and Tennessee plants. Toyota customers want vehicles that are fuel efficient and electrified, said Norm Buffuno, Senior Vice President, United Manufacturing and Engineering, Toyota. These investments allow us to meet customer needs and quickly respond to an evolving market. We're committed to investing in the U.S., and our teams are ready to take on this new challenge. Toyota Alabama will create a new 4-cylinder production line with the capacity to produce engines for both combustion and hybrid electric powertrains. Additionally, the facility will expand its footprint by 114,000 square feet, which marks the plant's 6th building expansion since 2003. Toyota Alabama has the capacity to build 900,000 engines annually and represents a near $1.5 billion investment. Toyota Kentucky is expanding flexibility of the 4-cylinder engine line announced last fall, which will better position the plant to meet customer demand. The plant's powertrain facility can produce up to 600,000 units annually. Toyota Kentucky is the company's largest plant globally, producing 7 Toyota and Lexus models, as well as 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder powertrains. Overall, the plant represents an $8.5 billion investment. Toyota Missouri's investment provides new equipment to build 4-cylinder engine heads on 3 production lines. The plant has the capacity to build more than 3 million cylinder heads annually and represents a $564 million investment. Toyota Tennessee will update equipment to build new 4-cylinder engine blocks. The plant has the capacity to produce more than 2 million engine blocks annually and represents a $425 million investment. Last year, Toyota announced new investments totaling $5.1 billion into its U.S. manufacturing operations to support electrification efforts, demonstrating its commitment to building where it sells and supporting local economies. Toyota U.S. plants produce half of the vehicles it sells in the U.S., and its North American assembly facilities produce more than 3/4, 76%, of the vehicles it sells in the U.S. In addition to the improvements to its manufacturing facilities, the company is investing in the workforce of the future. Toyota recently announced Driving Possibilities, a $110 million initiative to support pre-K to 12 education and beyond. The goal of the initiative is to improve communities and get young people excited and prepared for the job market. April 26th marked the launch of the all-new electric F-150 Lightning pickup, a milestone moment in America's shift to electric vehicles. You know, we focus so much on designs and specs sometimes that we overlook the most important thing, which is people. It takes a team of people to make the gear that we use in the vehicles that we drive. Let's take a look at the people who team up to make the new Ford F-150 Lightning electric truck.
When I walk into the turnstiles every morning, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be a part of something innovative. We're like a family here.
I love Rhonda.
I love you too. I'm excited. I get up every day at 3:30, excited to come to work.
I'm glad y'all chose to talk to us.
Because you want to know what we do and how we do it.
I always did like putting things together. I learned that it takes teamwork.
People outside of Ford ask you where you work at Ford, and you tell them the Electric Vehicle Center, building the Lightning, and they have, tons of questions.
You know, when you tell them you work in the factory, they think, oh, with a bunch of men. And you're thinking, like, you haven't been in the factory lately.
The people next to you, these operators, are experts. They make it look easy. It's not easy.
A lot of times, production tends to get forgotten about, right? We were absolutely instrumental in what is actually needed for our operators, to a process standpoint, the ergonomic standpoint.
I didn't even know what ergonomics was when I started. But now you see it, it's all through here.
Everything over here is new to us.
It's the wave of the future. I'm excited to be a part of it. I have 10 years here.
Been here for about 10 years now.
20 years.
27 years.
Coming up on 28. 29 years.
Almost 32 years I retired. The opportunity arose to be a part of this Lightning project. So it was a rather short retirement, about 12 hours.
Rhonda, she's like, look at her. She's always looking out for people. We all in this together.
Everyone working together, they can accomplish anything.
Quality goes up.
Quality goes up, the morale.
That's exactly it. Everything feels new. It feels different. It feels like we're moving into a whole new era and we're doing it together.
I started in '94. Whole different culture, completely different atmosphere, different environment, different structure. So we can make it what I consider one heck of a vehicle.
In my 32 years at Ford, this is the most excitement around a vehicle I've seen.
Everybody all in, willing to say we're willing to do something different, right? So I'm really proud of this team, how we work together, both hourly and salary. Everybody's been great, just understanding what we have to do and work together for that one goal.
Research from Oregon State University has revealed that living close to nature reserves could have a positive effect on your health and your wallet too. Researchers found that people who live near national parks in the U.S., as well as nature reserves and wilderness areas, are more likely to take advantage of the natural resources available at these parks, like swimming and hiking. This may give their mental and physical health a boost. Not only that, the study also found that people who lived near protected areas that drew some level of tourism were likely to have more money than those living elsewhere. That doesn't mean that people living near national parks were rich or extremely wealthy, but that they had 17% higher levels of wealth than households located farther away. From entering the lottery to dates and times, here's everything you need to know for 2022's annual Synchronous Firefly viewing opportunity in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Come late May to early June, the Smokies offer a spectacle near unmatched in nature. As summer rolls in, the naturally occurring phenomena of Photinus carolinus, a firefly species that flashes synchronously, begins in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. For 2022, the park has announced Friday, June 3rd through Friday, June 10th for this viewing opportunity. Popular demand led to the viewing becoming lottery-based in 2006. The public may apply for the limited viewing opportunity by entering a lottery for a vehicle pass-through at recreation.gov. The lottery opened for vehicle pass applications on Friday, April 29th, and runs through Tuesday, May 3rd at 10 a.m. All applications, regardless of the time or date of entry, are considered equally in the pool of lottery applicants. A total of 800 vehicle passes, 100 passes per night, will be issued through the lottery process. Results of the lottery will be available by Friday, May 13th. According to the park, access to the Elkmont area will be limited during the 8 days of 2022's predicted peak activity. This helps to significantly reduce traffic congestion and provide a safe viewing experience for visitors. The lottery system also minimizes disturbances to these unique fireflies during the peak mating period. Via email, applicants will find out if they were either successful and were awarded parking passes or unsuccessful and not able to secure a parking pass. Be sure to check down in the description for details and enter for your chance to attend in 2022. For the first time since 2018, a litter of red wolf cubs has been born in the wilds of North Carolina, which is the only place that they still survive. From coast to coast, red wolves once roamed nearly all of America. However, today in the 21st century, red wolves exist only in a minuscule pocket of North Carolina. There is hope, however. During this week of April 18th, Red Wolf Recovery Program staff confirmed a litter of 6 wild red wolf pups. 4 females, 2 males, were born to mother 2225 and father 2323. Last year, Ford dazzled Overland Expo attendees with the opportunity to ride inside the all-new Ford Bronco. The most hotly anticipated SUV in the overlanding space, the Bronco didn't disappoint attendees when they got to feel for themselves the Bronco's off-road prowess from the passenger seat of the iconic 4x4. Overland Expo is delighted to announce that fans will once again be able to get hands-on with the Bronco at this year's Overland Expo West and the first ever Overland Expo Pacific Northwest event. Also, Bronco will return to Overland Expo East 2022 as well with a static booth space. So get your spot at the Bronco booth at each of these events. There are no pre-reservations and space is limited, so be sure to get your spot early. Lodestone Events, producers of the Overland Expo, announced Christopher Walker as the series' new director of Overland Vehicle Training. As the director of Overland Vehicle Training, Walker will oversee the event series' team of professional overland driving instructors and the Overland Experience hands-on driver training program and class curriculum. When Walker is in training at an Overland Expo, he provides professional training services to the Rebelle Rally as one of their trainers and as part of their operations and safety team during the competition itself. Working with original equipment manufacturers on press drives, vehicle launch events, and providing off-road certifications and training for industry professionals in a wide range of environments. Overland Expo will offer hands-on off-road driving skills training to Overland Experience attendees in the Vehicle Expedition Skills area at all 4 events in the series in 2022. Now it's time for Random Lists.
Random Lists is all about lists Waypoint Overland has created on an array of topics, such as top 5 national parks, top 10 trails in the United States, top 10 fill in the blank. I think you get it. Some lists will be pure fun, and others very informational. But they all will have a connection to overlanding in some way. We're very interested in hearing your suggestions for upcoming lists in the comments. Now, here's our random list.
All right, this week on Random List, I give my top 8 canyons to explore in the U.S. for overlanders. You know, America's filled with countless varieties of natural beauty, from towering redwood forests, majestic mountains, and the sparkling beauty of the coast. This country is definitely not lacking in Mother Nature's bounty. But some of our most impressive assets, however, are our dramatic canyons and gorges. So here's my list of top canyons to explore across the U.S. that will absolutely take your breath away. First, we start with the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Now, the Grand Canyon is by far the most globally recognized and beloved American canyons. It's a steep-sided, 277-mile-long canyon carved by the Colorado River. The Grand Canyon is by far the most visually staggering canyon on this list. Nearly 2 billion years of Earth's geological history have been exposed as layer after layer of rock have been eroded and carried away by the river, and estimates put the age of the canyon at least 5 million years. Native peoples have inhabited the canyon area for thousands of years, and the Pueblo people consider the area to be a holy pilgrimage site. Next, I have Antelope Canyon in Arizona. Antelope Canyon is a slot canyon in the American Southwest. It's divided into two main upper and lower photogenic sections. One is the crack, and the other one they call the corkscrew. This stunning rock formation was formed by erosion of Navajo sandstone due to flash flooding and erosion caused by airborne sand. The canyon is on Navajo tribe land and has only been accessible to the public since 1997. You must be part of a guided tour to see the breathtaking canyon. So, do yourself a huge favor and make reservations. This spot is one of the most popular spots in the area. Next, I have Island in the Sky Mesa in Utah. If you're looking for something more like a Martian landscape than a scene from planet Earth, the Island of the Sky Mesa is riddled with elegantly curved canyons and a stunning array of rich red and orange tones. This area is part of the Canyonlands National Park and is definitely one of the jewels in the crown of the preserve. One of the best places to view this series of canyons is from the Green River Overlook. At number 4, I have Bryce Canyon, Utah. Now, this place is known for its crimson-colored hoodoos or spired-shaped rock formations. The Bryce Canyon area was settled by Mormon pioneers in the 1850s and was named after Ebenezer Bryce, who built his home in the area in 1874. One of the most scenic overlooks is Inspiration Point, where you'll be able to take in all the incredible textures and rich color of the Bryce Amphitheater from a lofty aerial perch. Prime viewing times are around sunup and sundown, when the sunlight makes the canyon rocks glow. Next, I have Franconia Ridge, New Hampshire. I have a West Coast bias, but the East Coast has some impressive canyons too. And you can get a taste of the Alps in New Hampshire with a challenging but rewarding hike across the rim of a dramatic gorge between the Little Haystack Mountain, Mount Lincoln, and Mount Lafayette. You can climb over granite outcroppings and peer into the wooded depths of this gorgeous canyon. Next, I have the Columbia River Gorge in Oregon. The Columbia River Gorge is more than just a pretty face. Matter of fact, the U.S. Forest Service has designated it as a protected botanical area due to the unique aquatic and woodland plants that grow throughout the canyon. The gorge reaches a depth of 4,000 feet and it stretches for over 80 miles, featuring a stunning array of waterfalls and lush, mossy areas. This canyon is a true departure from the red rock ravines of the Southwest. Okay, at number 7, I have King Canyon in California. This is situated in King Canyons National Park. This canyon actually features the deepest gorge in the country. The park is rich in unspoiled backcountry hiking, climbing, and scenic lookout points. Spring is one of the most beautiful times to visit this stunning area, as the warmer weather encourages the mountainside to sprout blankets of wildflowers and tender green grass. The best way to see this canyon is by vehicle, so you can drive along the meandering road of the park to take the King Canyon's beauty from every angle. At number 8, I have Black Canyon, Colorado. The National Park Service describes this canyon pretty simply: deep, steep, and narrow. And that's a very apt summary. This place is a bit more claustrophobic than the larger canyons on this list, but it's the perfect place for the climbing adventures of a lifetime. Interestingly, this might be the canyon for you if you're scared of creepy crawlers, or you don't like being around snakes, because the nighttime temperatures in this park, they drop to a low that's too much for snakes or amphibians to survive in. So a side note to that, please pack a sweater and dress in layers. Well, that's my list. Do you agree or disagree? Do you have your own list? Well, share in the comments. Now it's time for Waypoints.
Waypoints. Waypoints will cover all aspects of navigation for the overland traveler. Navigation is the act or practicing of navigating, the method of determining position, course, and distance traveled.
All right, this week on Waypoints, I'm going to give my take on materialism in the overland gear world. Materialism is the attitude of someone who attaches a lot of importance to money and wants to possess a lot of material things. The American Psychological Association, they found out that the more highly people endorsed materialistic values, the more they experienced unpleasant emotional depression and anxiety, the more they reported physical health problems such as stomach aches and headaches, and the less they experienced pleasant emotions and felt satisfied with their lives. Materialistic people lead unhappier lives and are worse to the people that are around them. Materialism tends to be associated with treating others in more competitive, manipulative, and selfish ways. And it seems that social media might be fueling materialistic attitudes too. People are more materialistic when they are exposed to messages that suggest such pursuits are important. Compared to people in other parts of the world, Americans usually tend to be more materialistic than anybody else. And this is mostly due to the fact that the average American is richer than 99% of the world's population. So what are some of the signs of a materialistic person? Maybe you're one. Well, they place a lot of importance on possessions rather than people. They often talk about money, and for the sake of overlanding, a lot of times what they want to talk about is how much they spent on their rig. They're not talking about, hey, I got this upgrade or I bought this vehicle because it's the right tool for what I want to do. It's, I spent $4,000 on this bumper. I spent $6,000 on this tent. I spent $2,000 on this refrigerator. They make sure to tag their purchases with the price, as opposed to they're telling you about the upgrades or the gear because, hey, I bought this refrigerator and it's performing well and it's a good value. It helps me with my overlanding or whatever the case, whatever the piece of gear may be. It's not being spoken to you from a perspective of a person giving you information that may be beneficial for you. It's strictly them showing off. And when they're not talking about money, they feel inferior. When someone else has something nicer than them, they feel inferior. This is probably something you've experienced if you've ever gone on an overlanding trip or even a smaller off-road trip where you've done some camping with people. Someone starts telling their travel story, which everybody's looking in awe and amazing. And there's always this one person who, first of all, they're asking all of these questions about it, not because they're interested in what you have to say. They're trying to debunk your story. And when they see people are interested in your story, sure enough, they got a better story to tell. I'm sure people have had that experience in other things other than overlanding, but we're talking about overlanding here. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. Somebody will, maybe they've been saving up for a year to make this purchase and they just happy about it and they want to talk about it. And instead of letting him enjoy his moment, that person, they got to tell you about how their purchase of a higher quality, more expensive thing is better. Or like I said, you're telling a story about something on a journey you went on or some international trip you've taken, and they cut you off. They don't let you finish telling their story because they're so ready to tell their story and prove that they've done more, they've been further places. I've experienced that so many times, and I'm sure you have too. They care about the opinions of others more than their own, which is one of the reasons they do that. They don't have the self-esteem or the security with themselves to be happy with what they got. It has to be confirmed by your awe of whatever it is they're driving or wearing or whatever the case may be. And what you'll also find is they always want more material things. So you've probably seen it. There's guys who they change their rig like every 3 to 6 months. I literally know guys who change their rigs every 3 to 6 months, and I'm talking about people who are doing it out of their own pocket. So let's be clear on that. I know that there are guys who it's part of a business. They're interlacing that with their taxes, and there's a tax benefit to them and things like that. I'm talking about just Joe Blow trying to compete with those guys because he sees them on YouTube and he sees that they bought, several vehicles, and they want to keep up with this guy. Not because they don't have what they need right now to go on an overland journey, but they don't have the confidence, the security, the self-esteem to be happy with what they have. They got to have whatever's the latest thing that they saw somebody else do, who's doing it as a business. So I think that's crazy. And then there's the people that share their stuff on social media. So let me be clear what I mean by that. I don't mean a person on social media sharing their journey. But there are some people that 2 minutes into their video or looking on their Instagram, it's very clear it's not about happiness. It's not about joy. It's not about the trip. It's not about the journey. It's look at my stuff. Look at my stuff. And they're also usually the same person that I just mentioned who, you're like, man, didn't you just buy a stove? And then they got a new stove, and then they got a new stove. They had a fireplace, but then they got to get the new fireplace because that's the one they see everybody using. It just blows me away how somebody will have a perfectly good piece of gear, but if everyone's using a new different brand, they have to have that new brand so that they can look color-coded, brand-coded with everybody else. I know somebody who had a perfectly good, I don't want to mention the brands, but they had a very, very good refrigerator, and they bought a brand new refrigerator a year later simply because everybody on YouTube is saying about they went out and bought this refrigerator and they're using it. It's crazy. And they constantly brag about what they have. I don't care what you're talking to the person about when it comes to a materialistic person. Somehow it's going to come back to them bragging about what they have. I don't care what the conversation is. They are going to constantly brag about what they have. They have no problem spending money they don't have. By me going to so many events, knowing so many people who are part of the industry, and then people who are who are actual travelers and overlanders, and then people who aspire to either be vendors or aspire to be travelers and overlanders. So I go across this country and I meet a lot of these people. I get to see the whole gambit of people. And what I have noticed is there are a lot of people who you're like, wow, look at their rig and look at all the pretty things on it. And they're paying crazy amounts of money, more than you actually think they're paying, because They're getting this stuff installed and purchased off of credit cards. Their vehicle a lot of time is on some outrageous rate because they're flipping their vehicles so often. They don't actually have the money in the bank for all of the things they're doing. They're using a lot of credit. So you see a lot of people that don't have a problem spending money that they don't have because they have the credit. And a lot of times the credit catches up to them. I see a lot of people who they invest in the social media, and I guess they're going to make it a business or something, which is cool. But they usually give themselves about a year. I see these people rotate in and out. They give themselves about a year. They spend all of this money buying all of this gear, and when it doesn't work out, then you're like, what happened to that person? I used to like their videos or whatever. Because it was more about materialism, and it was about people patting them on the back for what they're doing. And when they're not getting that, then it's over for them. I want to get into the reasons buying material things won't make you happy. This was one of the main goals of this conversation that I'm having with you today, is I wanted to give reasons buying material things won't make you happy. Because I often hear people that they don't say material things make you happy, but they will specifically say a specific material thing makes them happy, like whether it be a vehicle or a car or a house or whatever. So they may not say those exact words, but I hear a lot of people give the sentiment basically of buying things can make you happy. Money can make you happy. And I'm going to give my reasons for buying material things won't make you happy. First of all, and we're talking about overlanding. I'm trying to keep it on overlanding. Material things, they all fade away. They all begin to fade. All possessions are temporary by nature. They look shiny in the store, but immediately as soon as the package is open, they begin to perish, spoil, or they fade or wear out or whatever. There's always something new right around the corner. There's always going to be a new model, a new style, a new improvement, a new feature. So you can't never keep up. You just have to be happy with what you got. You can never keep up. My phone is a good example. There's planned obsolescence in technology and gear these days. They don't design things to last forever. They design things specifically with obsolescence in mind. And what I mean is, maybe it's an electronic, maybe it's a phone. Their plan is for you to buy a new phone in 3 to 5 years. So they aren't going to put every feature in it. Even if they have it already, they're going to hold on to some of them because they know that once you hear about one little new feature that's not on your phone, you're going to want that new phone, even if you don't even use or need the feature. It's crazy. And this isn't just phones. This is tents, rigs, kitchen gear, vehicles, technology, everything. Our world moves forward. It's constantly moving forward. Technology is constantly increasing. So if you're happy with your tent, why do you have to have the new tent? If you're happy with your fridge, why do you need the new fridge? There's always going to be one more button on a fridge. There's always going to be some new cloth or some new polymer or ballistic plastic or something being used on a new tent or whatever. There's going to be some new fuel source for some new stove or whatever. There's always, but if it functions to the capabilities that you needed already, what you own, why do you need that new feature? And if you're constantly finding yourself being on the other side of this story where you're always updating like this, then maybe you're a materialistic person. Another reason is each purchase adds extra worry to our lives. Every physical item that we bring into our lives represents one more thing that can be broken or scratched or stolen. That's just basic ABC 1, 2, 3 logic. If I have one car, I have a set of responsibilities for that car as far as keeping its maintenance up and doing things for the wear and tear of it. And if I have 2 cars, then that doubles. If I have 3 cars, that triples. And that goes for pretty much anything that you buy or purchase, whether it's clothes, whether it's a tent, whether it's tires, whether it's a fan belt, whether it's a vehicle. You are constantly maintaining and working on. So every time you buy new stuff, you're adding more worry and more work. Possessions require maintenance. The things we own require time. They require energy. They require focus. They need to be cleaned. They need to be organized. They need to be managed, maintained. If I had to say it, I think I said it already. And as a result, they often distract us from the things that truly do bring us lasting happiness. This is where I'm headed. Our purchases cost us more than we seem to realize. Whatever that dollar amount is for whatever you purchased it, that is not the total cost of whatever you purchased. Henry David Thoreau once said that the price of anything is the amount of life that you exchange for it. We don't buy things with money; we buy them with hours of our lives. Unless you're unless you're independently wealthy, you're an heiress or an heir or something, But if you one of the regular folk like me, everything that you buy, everything that you purchase, everything that you invest in, it comes out of your body, or it came out of your body. It came out of your work. It came out of your efforts. It came out of your labor. So, and for me, that's incalculable. I can't put a price on that. So just something to keep in mind and a perspective to think about. And if you're wondering about that quote, that was Henry David Thoreau. We discover other people aren't all that impressed subconsciously, and sometimes even consciously. We expect our new purchases will impress other people. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. We buy a car. We buy a car a lot of times, not just because we like the car, but man, when I get this car, the way people are going to look at me, because this is the new hot Raptor, this is the new XLT or whatever it may be. When people around me see it, or how the opposite sex is going to view me, or whatever. So subconsciously, a lot of times, even if we weren't doing it consciously, we make these purchases trying to impress people, hoping that they'll notice our new rig, our new fridge, lights, or tent. But the sad thing is, most of the time, they are less impressed than what we think. And instead, most of them, what I have found is they're too busy trying to impress you with their new purchase, because usually birds of a feather flock together. So, and I see that a lot, especially around the campfire and at these events that I go to. No, the person is barely listening to you. They're just waiting for a pause so that they can enter. And another reason why it's not a good idea to be materialistic, it's never ending, because someone else always has more. Someone else always has more. Someone else always has more. The search for happiness and possessions is always going to leave you short, because it's based on faulty reasoning that buckles under its own weight. Someone else is always going to have more. It's a self-defeating prophecy. That's what it is. If happiness is found in buying material things and more stuff, those with more will always be happier. The game can never, ever be won. Shopping does not quench our desire for contentment, satisfaction, anything. Contentment is never going to be found in the purchase of more stuff. You know, our overflowing garage full of gear and closet full of clothes, whatever it may be, should stand as proof of that statement. No matter how much we get, it's never enough. Now, I've tried very hard to keep mentioning overlanding and giving examples of overlanding type things, but you're probably wondering, what does materialism have to do with overlanding? How are you drawing this connection? What is overlanding supposed to be, basically? Through your travels, enjoy the journey. Don't just go from point A to point B. Pretty much overlanding is enjoying everything in between that point A and point B. The whole journey is supposed to be enjoyed, right? So if you're constantly buying things and it's because you're materialistic, and research has shown that all the negative reasons that a person would be doing it are materialistic, you're going against the grain of an overlander. Experiences are what make us happy, not possessions. Ultimately, you may get a little adrenal boost from purchasing something that you really wanted. You may have a moment of satisfaction and gloat, but in the end, experiences are going to make you far more happier than possessions. That is, if you put forth the effort to have those experiences. And all the research points to the fact that there are far more effective ways to find happiness, like enjoying life-changing experiences, for example. When people have had turnarounds in their life, a lot of times when you read autobiographies where people have had major turnarounds in their life, maybe from good to bad, rich to poor, or whatever, they usually always mention that the turning point was some life-changing experience, whether it was meeting someone, whether it was receiving a letter or something. It's never someone gave them the money finally to get a business started or bought them a car or whatever. It's usually a more personal experience, and those are the things we remember. We even remember bad life-changing experiences just as much as good. So I think that's where you find your happiness. But far too often we trade the pursuit of lasting fulfillment for temporary happiness. But I feel like we can do better. I feel like we can dream better. I feel like we can redirect our desires toward lasting pursuits. And that's what this particular Waypoints segment was about. You can't get on any of these waypoints. You can't navigate on trips if you're constantly buying stuff. I keep reiterating this over and over and over and over again, and I'm going to keep doing it till I see a change. And that is like just in my neighborhood. I don't have to go far. I don't have to leave my block to see amazing vehicles that could take on almost any type of overlanding trip that you desire, as far as length or as far as ruggedness. But you'll talk to the person and they may have ideas of overlanding. They talk about it, but they're not doing it. And a lot of times the main reason they say they're not doing it is because I got to get this awning. I got to get this fridge. I got to get this lift, or whatever the case may be. It's always one more thing that they're going to upgrade their vehicle to, and then they can start working on putting together a journey a first bucket list trip or whatever. And a lot of times the things that they mention to me is the one more thing that they need to get. I'm like, wow, that's enough money to knock off one or something, depending upon what it is, 2 or 3 bucket list things. But they're putting them off to have this very exact, picture perfect vehicle. And it's usually wrapped up in materialism where you're never going to be satisfied. You're going to always see something else. You're going to always have some kind of remorse because as soon as you buy something, the newest, next, coolest thing is going to come out. So one, you're wasting away the money that you could be using to go on journeys. And the other is by not going on these life-changing events, by not planning them out, by not having these experiences, and by putting yourself in debt and spending all this money and not getting the interactions and satisfaction from it that you're expecting from it, it's just a downward spiral emotionally and financially. People usually, when they finally meet me and they get to see my rig, they are so underwhelmed at my vehicle. Now, let me bag up first. I got a lot of toys on my vehicle. But in the big scheme of things, as far as an Overlander, my vehicle is way down on the totem pole. Way down on the totem pole. But I do have some toys on it. So there's that disclaimer. So what I'm getting to is people will be like, hey, I follow you on Instagram or something, blah, blah, blah. And now's my chance to see your rig. And I want to check out your rig. And then when they see it and we start going over some of the details, they are extremely underwhelmed. Sometimes they're even disappointed because my lift isn't as high as they thought. My tires aren't as big as they thought. My fridge isn't the newest, latest one, or my table isn't the material that they thought a great Overlander would be using, or I don't have the latest Midland radio. Like that's a good example. I'm sponsored by Midland. I don't think I'll have any issue getting the latest, greatest Midland radio that just came out that I highly recommend if you don't have one to get. But I have had no issues with the radio that I have now. So why am I getting another? Even if it's free, why? I have no issues with my Midland radio that I have right now. None. As far as reach, as far as clarity of voice, no issues. So what am I doing? And that's the case for so much of our gear. I know somebody who had a really nice fireplace, one of those ones you unfold and put wood in it. And then someone showed up one time when we were camping. This is here in Washington. They showed up and they had one of those real nice Snow Peak fireplaces. And he felt a sort of kind of way about it. And sure enough, next time we were out, he had a Snow Peak fireplace. And I have one too. They're very nice. But if I had another one and it was working fine, I wouldn't have gotten it. And I'm not saying you have to do things like me. I'm just giving, both sides of the fence and trying to give some perspective of some things. And hopefully you will get the moral of my story. And that is the majority of your investment should be in your journey and making life-changing experiences, doing things that will make you genuinely happy, long-term happy versus temporary happiness. We can do better. We can dream bigger than that. We need to redirect our desires toward lasting pursuits and life-changing events like travel, meeting people across the world. I think are definitely lasting pursuits. So I think you should take that money you're spending on your gear and use it towards your next overland journey. That's basically it. Quit spending all that money on your gear and start spending it on your overland journey. $1,000? We're talking about overland journeys. Let's just take, if you're doing something in America, $1,000 on an overland journey. Almost all of that could be used for gas. Another small portion of it used for fuel. And if you plan right, you don't even have to worry about any camping. And the fun will be finding beautiful places that cost nothing. $1,000. I could create a bucket list trip that would make you drool. And I see people spend way more than $1,000 in the overland community on all kinds of foolishness. Way more money than that. And they ain't been nowhere, but they always talking about they're going to go somewhere. They're going to eventually, one day. And I'm like, you old as me. When is this one day coming? When the one day comes, you are not going to be physically capable of doing any of the stuff that you see on YouTube or that you have dreamt up in your mind, because you ain't that dude no more. You're not that girl no more. So if you think from my description of materialism, you follow that, you're that person, that's something you should work on. And trust me, you're not gonna be able to correct it in one day, but recognizing it in yourself is a major step forward, and then you can start to change. And the rewards will be so great if you just diverted some of your purchases towards actual trips and journeys and experiences. It's kind of like when you work out. When you're working out, it's easier to eat right. You kind of naturally have a desire to eat the right food. So once you just take a little of that money that you were planning on doing something materialistic with and created an experience with, you're going to get that reward, and it's going to give you a desire to, oh, I want to do that again, or I want to go somewhere else, or I want to go back there again and see that other place or take that other trail or whatever the case may be. So it's not sacrifice. I know people sometimes really feel like, if I don't have the latest new thing, I'm sacrificing. But you're sacrificing what's most important for those things, which is your time, your effort, and missing out on experiences and growing old. So that wraps up another episode of the podcast. I hope that you got something out of that. Everything I spoke about was from the heart and sincere. And true. So with that, I want to make sure that everybody likes, shares, and subscribes. And with that, I want everybody to stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully I'll see you here or on a trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.